Measuring black powder right now on Pirate Firearms and reloading. Hey folks, so welcome back to the channel. So before we get started, I really just wanted to put the message out there. If you're enjoying this content, can you please subscribe? It helps the channel immensely. I noticed that only about 3% of the viewers are actually subscribed. It's totally free, hit the button. It helps me out immensely and it allows me to keep creating content for you guys. So today we're going to talk about something pretty near and dear to my heart in the shooting world, and that's black powder. I shoot both cartridge-contained black powder and muzzle loaders. It's a whole lot of fun. It is a challenge. It's not as easy as just going to the store, buying some ammo, and going and shooting a rifle. There's a whole lot that used to metering black powder. There's a few more safety considerations you need to do with black powder that you don't have to worry about with modern smokeless powders. The main one is static buildup. Black powder is definitely not as dangerous as some people believe it is, but it still commands a lot of respect, and you need to take these precautions appropriately. So what I have in front of me here is my made powder dropper for black powder. I don't use this for any nitro, anything like that, modern smokeless, just black powder. And this is the Lyman Brass Smith. Now, when you buy these, they actually come with a clear plastic hopper, which is no good really for black powder. So what I've got is a bit of aluminium extrusion tube. You notice a little bit of insulation tape to make it a perfect fit here in the start of the actual mechanism. And what this allows me to do is consistently drop powder charges. Most black powder shooters will start with a little measure similar to this. So what you've essentially got is a twist off the top funnel, and you have here measurements. So it's very coarse, it's not super accurate. You start with 10 grains at the bottom, 20, 30, 40, and so on. I still use this for a few little applications, but generally speaking, if I want the best results, I'm not going to use something like this. The idea would be that you would pour your black powder in here, you'd fill it just over the top, you would cut it off the top with this, allowing the extra granules of black powder to drop like down into a tray or something, and then you'd have this nice little funnel, and you can go ahead. Some people will then pour this directly into their muzzle loading firearm. What I do is these little vials. So these are plastic flip top vials. I believe I got them from eBay or AliExpress, can't remember now. They are non-static generating, and they're basically like a medical grade vial. The only downside to that, it means they do have a rounded bottom, so you can't just stand them up when you're loading them. But I do actually have a little loading block that I use when I'm going through, and I'll load 100 of these up at a time. So the charge I'm going to be doing today is 45 grains of Swiss 3F black powder. So this is what I shoot in my Kentucky long rifle. Generally speaking, 3F is considered like a small caliber or a pistol powder as being a finer granulation. So cannon grade 1.5 is very coarse. 2 is generally speaking a rifle powder. 3 is small caliber rifles and pistols. 45 is on the cusp of whether to use it, and look, I know people who shoot 50 calibers with 3F as well. There's no real danger, it's just faster burning. I find it's a little bit cleaner. A Kentucky long rifle has a very long barrel, and if you don't keep that well lubricated during a day's shooting, you will start to run into loading problems. So that's the powder that works for me. It's the more expensive black powder, but it's the way to go. Now this is authentic black powder too. It's not a modern alternative. There are some made by Hodgdon that are like black powder alternatives. They're safe for black powder firearms, but it's water soluble, it's not as corrosive. I stay away from that stuff, shoot the real stuff, and just worry about cleaning it up later on. So I've already got the hopper full, and I'll show you inside the hopper later on. I do have a little baffle to provide consistent pressure as it drops down. I have my charge master set up down here, purely just to weigh the powder charge and confirm. Now what I've found is I can get plus or minus 0.1 of a grain with this, which is more than enough really. We're not talking about bench rest shooting here. So what I do, I go ahead and drop the powder into the pan, even it out a little bit, and drop it on the scale, and what do you know, I've got a perfect 45 grains. Now, depending on how brave you are, you could now take the little spout here on the funnel and dump it straight into the vial. I prefer to hold it over a funnel, like so. And drop the powder in. And there's another one ready to go. So I do like this when you're shooting black powder. I shoot off the body, don't have any stands or anything. I know a lot of the serious competitive guys tend to run stands. I'm more about having everything in a possibles bag or on my belt. And so this is a really convenient way to quickly drop powder charges and not have to worry about it in the field. So we'll get the pan again. Now the thing I've noticed about this Lyman Brass Smith powder measure is that you do want to sort of run it hard up and hard down. You can probably hear that little clunk in the microphone. Hopefully it's picking it up. And that's just inducing a little bit of vibration and making sure all the powder is dropping into the reservoir, and then when you go to dispense it, making sure it all drops out again. You don't want to get kernels sticking in place. Now something to note with black powder too, sometimes when you buy it in the jug, it will be a little bit crusty, as in stuck together, and there will be lumps in it. It's just the way things are with black powder, and before you pop the cap on it each time, you sort of squeeze the canister. It is a nice soft plastic. Squeeze it and break up those lumps. If you get a lump through your powder meter, you'll know pretty quickly, because it'll be obvious your charge will be miles under. But as long as you're careful about breaking it up, it should be absolutely fine. Now that one's thrown 45.1 grains. I'm not particularly worried about that. That's more than enough accuracy for my liking. And things to note too, I do have a black powder only scoop. I don't use the same one as I use for nitro. It just ensures that I don't get black powder in my nitro, and I don't get nitro in my black powder. It's probably a step more than I need to take. I do wipe these out every time, but it's just a bit of peace of mind. You use different things. Black powder, at least all the modern stuff, is coated in graphite, and it will leave a grey sort of residue on your hands if you do touch it, and on anything that's metered through. The graphite's added to make the black powder more stable. So you could use feasibly any of these sort of powder dropper type measures. You've just got to stick with something that doesn't have plastic in it. If it's just your hopper on top that's plastic, by all means go and swap it out. If you can find the correct diameter, aluminium or steel tube to go in there and replace it, go for it. This is all cast. The mechanism is all steel, while the body is aluminium or aluminum. Same with the mount. The mount can be set up any way, and it comes with a standard die thread as well, so you can actually put this straight onto a reloading press as well. It does come with the stand, which is really nice. A lot of these measures do not. You have to buy the stand separately. And I've just got wing nuts bolting it under my shelf here, so it keeps it up nice at eye level, gives me clearance when I'm not using it. Right folks, so now I've dumped all my powder charges. I've still got powder here left in the hopper. So there's a couple of different ways you can get this out. The easiest and simplest way, in my opinion, with this particular powder measure, and bear in mind every one of them will be different, I'm just going to put the actual powder container there, and I'm going to lift up and I'm going to dump that charge out. I'm now going to keep my hand holding this in place, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this guy out. And once it's all the way out, oop, that slipped. I'm going to take that guy off. Now I'm going to pull a little plunger out. Just like that, okay? So it's important to keep it up, otherwise the second you get that plunger out, you're going to have powder go everywhere. Now what I'm going to do is place this here, bring this down into the container, and if I bring it down there, and I'll bring this down so you can see it, you can see the powder is nicely flowing out of the meter. I'll just keep tapping on it. And make sure we've got as much of it as humanly possible. You can sit there and just keep throwing charges till it's empty, but that's very, very time consuming. Right, now I know I've got that, I'm just going to wiggle this tube up, and we are going to hope that we never got a powder blockage in it. Cool. And this is what I mean about a baffle in the top. So that sits there, the powder falls on top of it, and it means there's always a consistent pressure applied from the powder coming down. So while I've got it apart, I'm going to show you the insides of this. So I'll undo the thumb screw. This is what I mean about it comes with like a die. So essentially what happens with this mechanism is when you have it in the down position, it fills in from the hopper. When you raise that up, it then turns the hopper upside down, drops your powder charge out, and drops back when you're done. By having a adjustable reservoir on here, that's what gives you the correct powder charge. So like I said, that came with a plastic tube on top. All I've got is an aluminium extrusion. Pop it in there. It's now all metallic. There's no chance of static electricity building up, and she's safe for black powder. So that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about how I've done this, or you want any advice, hit me up in the comments below. I'm more than happy to help you out, and please subscribe to the channel. It helps a huge amount. Until next time, happy shooting.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Catch you next time.